Last week, New South Wales residents were advised not to use appliances lest the state ran out of electricity. Well, this week it was South Australia's turn, with their energy minister telling people that the state risked blackout unless they bought 2 diesel-powered generators, which had been mothballed in July because we're going renewables, out of storage and got them operational again. South Australia relies a lot on renewables and needs New South Wales and Victoria to provide power in the event that South Australia's renewables don't, renew. And so the Energy Minister said we have to make sure when we need the power is there, because if it's not across the national energy market, I can guarantee the premiers of New South Wales and Victoria aren't going to be saying, let's load share here to provide South Australia with power. But it gets even worse than that. Today, the energy market operator has demanded the power to shut down solar across the entire country on days when an oversupply of solar threatens to destabilise the grid. The Australian energy market operator said the ever-growing output from solar was posing an increasing threat to the safety and security of the grid because it was pushing out all other forms of generation that were needed to help keep the system stable. So what we've got across the country is now absolute madness. We used to have a first world power grid, but we're dismantling that and replacing it with a third world power grid. And even if we're successful, Caleb and Liz, to get net zero, it will make absolutely zero difference to global temperatures, to rising sea levels and the amount of snow that falls on Kosciuszko. All we're doing is guaranteeing higher electricity prices. We're guaranteeing business will flee this country. And for what? For absolutely no net benefit.
As I wrote in my advertiser column on Friday, I hate to say I told you so, because of course this does mean that there are people out there who are making decisions about whether or not they buy their children Christmas presents this year or they pay their power bills. But I told you so. What we have here is an energy system that has been rushed and is not built for the grid that we have. In South Australia, as you said, they want to bring the Port Lincoln and Snuggery diesel-powered generators back online, which Engie took offline in June or July because they said they weren't financially viable anymore because of renewable energy. Well, who cares what's financially viable?
We need power.
What about what's viable in terms of keeping the lights on, for heaven's sake? But of course, that's not the fault of the energy companies. They only want to turn a buck, and that's what their shareholders want them to do. So they're just simply operating in the market that these governments have created for them. And then the governments come along and say, oh, hang on a minute, we've got a small problem here. And how absurd that we would now be told that we have to turn off your solar panels, which we encourage you to put on your roof so that we could have a renewable future, because getting too much, we've literally got too much renewable energy in this country and it's going to fry the grid. Is that just not the height of insanity? And of course, in New South Wales earlier this year, Ausgrid announced that they would introduce a surcharge for you to feed your solar power back into the grid for exactly this reason. Lots of power, solar power, gets fed into the grid off of people's rooftops in the middle of the day when they're all at work and that energy is not being used, and they'd much rather they fed it in the evening when everyone's at home. Well, the sun doesn't shine in the evening, does it? So they're actually going to make you pay to put your power back into the grid because you were encouraged by successive governments to do so because it'll fry the network. If anything proves that we have gone too fast on this, that is it.